like you can't be totally honest in show business, but you can be more honest than people are. Cause like James Corden, it was like, I love doing this, but I want to move on. It's like, no, that's not what
you didn't want to do the cat movie that bad.
I don't know. I just feel silly, like going,
right.
Like lying to, like,
right. Yeah.
Like talking about the end of the Conan show and saying like, no, we decided that we had done enough. Like, no, shit, we would have done another 3 or 4 years of that at least. But frankly, I'm surprised sometimes that there's still a TBS. I mean,
I'm surprised too, bro.
I agree.
Wow, we have a legend on the hand. Andy Richter, how you doing,
Hi.
sir? How's
I'm
it
doing
going?
fine, Andy. How are you?
I'm well, bud. I'm well. Where you at? How's your head? How's everything going? Let's talk about your mental state before we talk about your career.
Well, they're inextricably linked, God damn it. No, where I am, I'm in LA. I'm in the Conan podcast studios, which I work out of here a lot. I record podcasts out of here. I also just kind of use it as a workspace because it's, I know everybody here. It's like a family business. So it's always nice to just come here and see friendly faces and stuff. And it's also just I don't get anything done at home. When I stay home, I either take a nap or do chores, so it's like, it's better. And my wife works out of the house. So it's better for both of us, more productive for both of us for me to get out of there, and she'll get work done. I'll get work done. And otherwise, we'll just talk or whatever, which, don't want that.
No.
God forbid.
Then information starts coming out.
That's where I am. And mentally, I am great. If show business hadn't taken such a nosedive, I'd be perfect. Right. I'm a relative newlywed. I got married actually just a little bit over a year ago. June 10th was our first wedding anniversary.
Congrats.
And I married a single mom, and I adopted my stepdaughter. So now she's my daughter. So I have a 4-year-old at home, in addition to my 23-year-old son and my 18-year-old daughter.
Wow.
So
wow.
I got 3 kids now, big age gap in between the first 2 and the third. But she keeps me busy and keeps me very happy. And it's, I love raising kids, and when people say I love kids, it's like, yeah, I like some kids,
Like my kids.
Yeah.
Cause I do love kids, but but my kids are the ones I love. And she's just a lot of fun and really funny. And of course, challenging and exhausting, and treats me like a trampoline. Just this weekend, I was laying on a couch reading, and just having another human being like run and completely jump on me, on my chest with all her weight, or on my abdomen, man. And just kind of, and she can do that for 2 hours, and you just kind of like, all right, I'll just be the trampoline, I guess.
What did you learn about being a dad versus how your dad taught you?
Well, my mom and dad divorced when I was 4. Right. So he was like not a real presence in my life. So just being present was, and that's what I mean. I can't really, there is part of me that, because he lived in Bloomington, Indiana, and we lived in Northern Illinois, and I didn't think about it until I was a father myself. But I did have the feeling, because I have an older brother who's 3 years older than me. And I definitely got to after I had kids, I thought, if I got divorced, I think I would find a way to live closer to my kids than 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I would have adjusted my life in some way. And he didn't. And he has all kind, that's not that unusual, but I just don't think I could have done that. And when I did get divorced after being married for 25 years, I lived about 6 minutes away from my kids the whole time after I moved out. Because I certainly, and the worst part of of that whole thing was that I didn't get to live under the same roof as my kids.
Right.
After, well, at that point it had been, my son was 19 and my daughter was 14. So that was the worst part. But I think that there's just kind of a general, there seems to be among parents my age, just like a general sort of involvement that didn't exist,
right.
The sort of level of involvement and participation that is just kind of expected from you. And I don't think it's just, because this is LA and it's a different world, but it like my parents, they went to like one PTA meeting a semester and then sports things, but it wasn't
exactly
my hearing with all this shit. It's just like, it seems like every week there's something about, well, you got to go to the school at 3:30 on Wednesday to, I don't know, sell baked goods or something.
Yeah, it's true though.
Yeah. It's that is kind of a difference. And honestly too, like in terms of that stuff, when you first have kids, there's all kinds of like, oh, I can't fuck this up kind of feeling, because they send you home with this little thing and you got to keep it alive. And there's all kinds of like worry but now like this sort of notion about like, oh, if I don't do this stuff, the people at school will judge me. That's like, oh, I don't give a shit about that anymore. Like that. I already
did that twice.
I had 2 kids that went all the way through school. My daughter just graduated from high school. So like, I'm like, oh, I don't really know. I don't fucking care about that.
Let me know if you need some money or something.
No, it's true though. Do you think why do you think?
Well, first, do either of you guys have kids?
No,
not that I know of. I hope not.
All right.
I hope not.
I don't have any, and I know.
But I'm also like, I asked you that because I'm in a band. I do about 250 shows. I'm always working, like kind of like workaholic mode, like you guys are. I'm wondering, how do you build intimacy through having a child? And do you have to take time and effort into it, or is it something that you're just going to realize, like, I'm not going to be there a lot, so I need to spend when I'm with them, that's when the moment I really need to like be fully in the moment with them.
Yeah, you hit it there. You do. It does. It involves lots of devotion, and you gotta. It's not about you anymore. It truly isn't. And I kind of had among my peers, I was one of the first people to have a kid, and even to sort of like the further edges of my peers, and so many, especially out here, I had so many conversations with new dads who were like, hadn't done it as long as me or just started doing it, who were like, basically the subtext of the conversation was, is it going to get back to being about me? And
I'm on TV.
I was like, no, it won't. I guess when they're 18 and they move out, but even then it kind of, like I said, I got a 23-year-old and an 18-year-old. It's still kind of more about them.
Yeah.
Luckily, they both have their own lives and they don't, they've had enough of me, and they love me and everything, but they got their own lives. They don't want to, it's like, so, but if in the instances where our lives are still together, they still come first.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it is hard. I was really, really lucky, to work on the Conan show, to go back and work on the Conan show when it got to the Tonight Show and then on TBS.
Yeah.
Because most of that time I lived less than 10 minutes from the studio.
Wow.
And that it just kind of worked out that way. It was just kind of lucky that way.
Yeah.
But I was home for dinner, and I worked on a job where my day would be like 10 to 6. Like it wasn't, it was like a normal-ish work day.
Yeah.
Whereas other shows that I've worked on, especially the ones that are single camera, which just means not in a for people that not in a studio, like out and shot like a movie. When I first moved to LA, my son was about a year old, and I'd go 4 days where I didn't see him awake because I would leave before he woke up and came home after he was asleep. And that really sucked.
Yeah.
So it is, I was very lucky in that I just had 11 years of steady work, didn't go too late, and was close to home. So I was able to be there, to be present for my kids, most of their grade school, high school years. Now, I can't tell you what'll happen, because my daughter's 4, and if I get a job in Vancouver, I guess they'll just come with me or something.
Right.
But, that's a possibility. I might go back to those 16-hour days at any time. And then I don't know what we'll just have to roll with it as it comes. But definitely on the days that I would have off, they would be pretty much devoted to being with her.
You ever tell your older kids, like, you ungrateful motherfuckers, I worked this hard for you so you could have this fucking house. So you can. No. That doesn't work like that. Doesn't work.
They were there and they knew what I did for a living. And for me to go like, I worked hard. I mean, yeah, I worked hard, but I mean, I wasn't loading trucks.
Exactly. You weren't a union welder.
You were a union.
Yeah, I mean,
different union.
I had my own office with my own bathroom, my own dressing room with my own bathroom. Yeah. People picked out my clothes. I met famous people and made jokes.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, we were producing a television show, and there's a lot of work involved in that.
Sure.
But it's the shit that I was doing for free before somebody paid me for it. So it's kind of hard to come up high and mighty,
Yeah. And like
Tony and Meadow Soprano, like, you don't know what I did for this money, they know what I did for the money. And they're like, yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty cushy.
Yeah. Conan rules. What are you talking about?
I was going to ask you, who's a better partner, your new wife or Conan?
My new wife. My new wife.
Yeah. And she pays more.
He's I mean, I love him, but he's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a lot.
Really?
And he knows he's a lot. Yeah. No, he's just like, being around him is in many ways being around a little kid, because there is just like a constant stream of very funny, weird, nonsensical, bloody, blah. And it's just, he just runs at a high RPM. And yeah, it's like, there were times where I'd be struck by, like, sitting in a room full of like the monologue writers, and everyone's sitting there and it's like, there's nothing to really be done. We're waiting for something. And everyone's sitting around, looking at their phones or reading the paper. And then there's the guy that pays our check going over in the corner,
And he's so big too.
And everyone just kind of, you just sort of, oh yeah. He's over there doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love that he's 6'4" and he's animated and he's like a genius.
Yeah.
It's like,
what's the difference between being
he's very hard to miss.
Oh, I bet. What's the difference between being a co-host on that type of show versus having your own show now on Sirius?
Oh, well, I mean, one is TV,
Yeah.
And the one that I'm doing, the Andy Richter call-in show that is starting on Sirius XM on, I don't know, July 26th or something like that. That's a radio show, and that's just fun. Like, they asked me to, because Conan has this, Sirius XM bought Conan's podcast company, and they wanted, and there's a Conan O'Brien channel that was, up to this point, was all podcasts, and they kind of just wanted to start doing some radio programming that could be podcasts as opposed to podcasts that were being played on the radio.
Oh, okay.
Right. And that's just kind of like a general thing they want to start to try. I mean, I feel like he's probably going to start to do stuff like that as it spreads out a little bit. I mean, he's busy enough because he had a travel show for Max, and he records podcasts here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get him to do some kind of radio, more sort of like radio programming kind of things.
Do you think that would get the band back together?
I don't know. I don't know about the band. He tried real hard. He tried really hard for you. When there was the Tonight Show, and the Tonight Show fell apart, and then he was contractually unable to be on television for something like 10 or 11 months. I can't remember exactly. Yeah. It wasn't a full year, but it was a while. So he put together a tour, and we actually went on a tour.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
and it was
that.
like a variety show tour. And one of the main reasons he did that was to get the band paid.
Yeah.
Because the band, I actually was still almost right up until the TBS show started. I was still under whatever contract we had. I think it was like 5 or 6 months that I got paid because, that I was still under contract.
Oh, right.
So I was still getting paid. But the band, they don't have they don't sign a contract. They get paid for every show that they do. So
right.
He got them paid for that. And he throughout that, when there's gigs, he really does try to get them paid. But then at a certain point, I don't know, a few years before the show went off the air, we went from an hour to a half hour. And as much as everybody tried to play it like it's streamlining, it's like, nah, they don't give you less real estate in the schedule because things are going great.
Right.
It was just late night talk shows are just, I don't know if they're going to.
Are they over?
How are they still existent? I don't understand how they're still a thing, to be honest.
Because they're still cheap enough. They're still like all kinds of, they still are a cog in the publicity machine, which is, was the main thing about them anyway, was that it was, well, the main thing was they're cheap. They're, you build a room, you get a guy, you get a band, and you just go for however many years you go.
Right.
And you get good guests, you get interesting content because people want to promote things. So it's all promotion. And it still does matter. There's still, even with social media, you'll get a clip of somebody on there's something like Roan Chapel.
Oh yeah,
Chapel Roan. She's the new Lady Gaga. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I know I don't know much about her, but I just have seen her referenced on basically every gay person I follow on social media is in love with her. Yeah. So like, okay. And like, I saw an interview with her on Jimmy Fallon. Like, and that tons of people will see that. There'll be another 10 days of Jimmy Fallon that nobody gives a shit about, or Stephen Colbert or whomever. Yeah. But there still are. It still is a way for cultural happenings to filter out and get spread around, and to make somebody some money, put some butts in some seats, or sell some downloads or whatever. Yeah. But they are going down.
Right. Yeah.
Like.
Totally.
James Corden, and it's, they do kind of frame it. And it's one of my pet peeves. Like, I don't think there's, like, you can't be totally honest in show business, but you can be more honest than people are. Cause like James Corden, it was like, I love doing this, but I want to move on. It's like, no, that's not what
you didn't want to do the Cats movie that bad.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just, it's easier to say that than
saying
this talk show is more expensive, and they're going to do a panel show that costs a third of what this does, and get either the same or more ratings, just because nobody cares about talk shows anymore.
Yeah, and it's probably like in his brain, it's like, I'd rather step down than get fired.
Yes. And that better. And I guess there's something to that, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like, I don't know. I just feel silly, like going
right.
Like lying to like talking about the end of the Conan show and saying like, no, we decided that we had done enough. Like, no shit, we would have done another 3 or 4 years of that at least. But it was not, and I mean, like, I'm surprised sometimes that there's still a TBS. I mean,
I'm surprised too, bro.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Too. There's like. Yeah. TBS is, I mean, and it has been for years and years and years. They make most of their money on reruns of network stuff.
Christmas Vacation.
And just the way their production, and they made some funny, interesting stuff, but it just never seemed to go anywhere.
Right.
And it just really felt like towards the end and it was weird too, because COVID sort of interrupted the end of our show, kind of in a way that made it Like it was better almost to have COVID push us out of the studio and then the show end while we were out. Because it would have, if it just wound down in that same studio, it probably would have felt shitty. Whereas at least this way, it was kind of, it ended in its own weird little final chapter,
right?
You know, of like him and me going and doing shows at Largo, this little theater in LA, and us being like one of 6 people in the whole building,
right?
Making our same late night show that used to take 120 people to make.
Yeah.
It's like the Titanic where the band keeps playing.
Kind of makes you think, how many extra people you were paying all these years you didn't need.
I think of that. No, but you're a band.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but
I mean, you're not wrong, but I mean, but it's not so much. You're not wrong. I mean, every institution, especially showbiz institutions, end up having a little bit of bloat as time goes on.
Right.
You know,
why do you think that is? Because comfortable, or they're trying to hide money from the tax man?
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly how. I mean, on a TV show like ours, I would say you start with a group of people and everybody's kind of busy, but as our show evolved, it was less work to do it because we weren't as ambitious in terms of how much comedy we would put out. You know, it's like in the beginning, we were fighting for our lives. So we produced as much comedy as we could. And, you'd work, through the weekends till the point where you're like working 4 weeks with no day off, you know? And then after a while, when you're on the air and you're not going to get thrown off the air, you're like, I'm not fucking doing that.
One time?
Yeah. Like having 3 comedy bits in that first act, like, why don't we just have one?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it'll be fine. And I think, and it also too, I mean, you have to balance that with not getting too complacent,
right? Until
the point where the quality drops. But you also find out like, oh yeah, we didn't need, I mean, maybe we needed to back then, but right now it's, it's kind of better to have the show have a more relaxed feel, be a little easier, be a little more spontaneous.
Yeah.
But there's also too, like in networks too, I don't know how it works there, but there's always, what my experience always was, I always had the hunch that like you could just go through, any building, any office building that houses network executives and just go and fire every other person, like some sort of like Ultron or whatever thing,
just randomly,
just fire half of them, and it probably wouldn't run that much differently.
No, that's where the real bloat is.
Lots of people that just you don't know what they do.
Yeah, And we're in the music industry, and like how many people who get dropped, A&Rs get dropped, and then get handed off to another A&R for like a Modest Mouse saying, for example, talking to them like, they've had 4 A&R guys. Nothing's changed. Everything is all fucked up.
They're all bad.
Yeah.
It's still fucked up.
Yeah,
they're all equally bad.
Well, and when you go pitch a TV show, you'll be pitching to like 8 people.
Yeah,
and you're like, and they all basically are listening to you to go like, yes, that's good. We should give him money or no, I don't think that would be good. And it's like, really? Does it take 8 of you? Like,
who's writing the check here?
Takes it takes less than 8 of us to make write the show. It creates a lot of situations that I'm sure are the same in the music business of like, well, what do you think? What does the person above me think?
Exactly.
Well, I agree with them. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Andy, and I want to talk a little bit about Volume.com. Yes, Volume.com, our sugar daddy. Yes, our sponsor, and we are doing a only Frasco subscription for $5 a month. We're gonna have extended videos of the podcast. You're gonna have a live stream once a month of the band. You're gonna have live streams of us making the new record. So head over to volume.com/Andy Frasco. Subscribe. It's only $5. I got a cup of coffee today. It was $7.50. You could just spend 1 cup of coffee and get all the Frasco you want. So head over to volume.com/Andy Frasco and subscribe. Support your guys. Maybe I'll even pay Nick more. You never know.
So what's the difference between working with a radio company versus working for a TV company?
Well, for me, honestly, it's not that much different because I was kind of blissfully ignorant of a lot of the kind of network shit that happened on the Conan show. He ran all that interference, and I kind of, there were a lot of meetings I didn't have to sit through, and there was a lot of, kind of meet and greet kind of shit that I didn't have to sit through. Then I could have, if I could have, I'm sure he would have been happy to have me do it. And when I did do it, he was happy to have me do it, but it wasn't, I don't wanna, I don't wanna I hate meetings. So, and especially at TBS, we always were left to do whatever we wanted.
Right.
Cool. There was not like a lot of, it was not, and even on NBC, it was only like the first 3 or 4 years that we felt in any way that people were going, you can't do that, you should do this, you can't do that. Right. And we very quickly got, it wasn't like we were doing, we're like, oh, we can't do the offensive, anti-Christian humor or something that we want to do. Right. It's like you learn like, oh, that's a hot button, if you're going to put Jesus in a bit, you got to be careful what you do with Jesus. Yeah. It's like, okay, all right, we can deal with that.
Yeah.
But, and so far with the serious thing, it's just been a lot of kind of like talking about what the logo is going to be. It's not even, I've
heard this a lot about Sirius. Like it's your world. They just want you to make good content.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's rad.
It really does seem to be that way, and there's not, because I think most of these people came from the shitty old radio world, and they're like, nah, it didn't work. Having some guy that mostly just sold advertising time tell you how you should make comedy or keep. Yeah. It was just like, that guy doesn't know. Yeah. So I think that they know radio, they know kind of what sells. They do marketing, they have some idea of what sells, but mostly it's just like, especially some, like I have, I'm a known quantity. So just sort of like, oh yeah, we have an idea of what that'll be like. Just do it.
Right.
Yeah.
What about,
it's just been like, hey, it's going really well. And I'm like, well, okay.
I'll keep doing it then.
Yeah. I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think, the relationship you had with TBS, was it kind of like the heartbreak era for you two? Moving on to TBS in a sense, like you got your job taken from you from Jay or whoever, you moved to a company, or did you not have those type of feelings towards it? Did you feel like these guys want me? I feel like I'm at home. Like, what were those first phases of going back to TBS for you guys?
Well, I can only speak for myself because I wasn't, I hadn't, a friend of mine's here.
You came back in 2009, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
He asked me, I left in 2000 to come out here and do some of my own shows. And I had 3 different shows that I was the star of. And then I was back developing shows, which is just fucking awful. And it takes forever.
It sucks.
And you're like,
it takes years, right? Like to get a show going?
It takes forever. And, and you'll submit a script and you'll wait 2 weeks and then they'll give you a couple of notes and then you rewrite it and you give it back to them. And then it's like another 3 weeks. And then she's on vacation or, she went to France for some convention. It's just like, it takes forever and they say dumb stuff all the time and they're all scared, and I don't blame them because if I had to program a television network, I would get fired in 4 minutes.
Yeah, me too, bud.
Everything can't be a game show.
It's hard to know what's gonna do it, what's gonna make it happen, and get eyes on it. And also, too, when you look around, like shit that's super popular, I'd be like, oh my God, if somebody said, do you want to do that? I'd be like, oh, fuck no, that's awful.
Right.
And then they put it on TV and it's a huge hit, you know?
Right.
So what do I know?
Have that ever happened to you? Have that ever happened to you where you said no to something they really wanted you on and then blew up?
Well, the only one that's really kind of that's kind of like that is when they were putting together the show Modern Family.
Oh yeah.
They were very interested in me in playing one of the roles, but I had already kind of secretly set up that I was going to do the Tonight Show with Conan.
Shit.
So if I had that, make that choice, and and it just turned out that the Conan or the Tonight Show fell apart for many different reasons. And if I had to make that choice over again, I would still have gone, because it was like, oh, it's the sitcom on ABC. The pilot script's okay, but you never know. That's like, that means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of good scripts.
And because there's plenty of times where it's like, oh my God, this pilot script is fantastic, and then it just doesn't do anything.
Yep.
So it seemed like a very easy decision, like go be Ed McMahon, or take a risk on this ABC sitcom. And so I didn't. And it certainly, in terms of just money, I would have made a lot more. I would have made a lot more.
That is the thing. I'll clap to that. I'll clap to that.
We love money on this podcast.
We love money on this podcast.
Yeah, we're pro money.
Let's just say that if I had been on Modern Family, I probably wouldn't be talking to you guys.
We'll clap to that too.
Hell yeah,
we'll clap to that too. We'll clap to that too, Andy.
I wouldn't even know you exist.
Over all the Taco Bells that I own.
What happened in 2000s? You wanted to bail because of the show?
Oh, I had just. I was bored. Honestly, I was bored and I was ambitious. I was young enough that I felt like taking the risk, and I had been there for 7 years. I wanted to be a comic actor, I wanted to be an actor, not a personality.
Right.
And I wasn't a stand-up. I was a improv actor, improviser. I had acted in things. I'd been in, done comedy roles and different things. And I wanted to get back to that. And I also knew that I had enjoyed this success on the Conan show, which started to kind of also feel like with my ADD it just felt like we were doing the same, every day was a little different, but it felt like I was doing the same thing. And it just would continue like that. There didn't seem to be any growth.
Right.
So I thought, well, I know I can go out there and get a deal. Like I know just from like friends of mine that had been on the Daily Show for a few years, and then they say I'm leaving the Daily Show, and all of a sudden everybody's got to have them.
Right.
So I knew I would be sort of like a previously unavailable new shiny thing, and I'd be able to get at least one deal. Probably two. The one I was worried about was like the third deal,
right?
Because they'd give you money for holding or for development, but I knew like the first two, just because they covet what they can't have,
right?
And I was employed, and people knew who I was, and I had sort of, there was enough people that liked me that it was like, oh yeah, it's worth money to spend money on that guy.
Yeah.
So I just knew I'd be able to get a show,
right?
And I didn't set out to move to Los Angeles, but it quickly became apparent, like, I'm going to have to go to Los Angeles. Yeah. And so that's when I did. And I came out here and, was just trying to enlarge things, trying to be my own, be number one myself, which it actually turned out in why it was easy to sort of go back to work for Conan is I don't really care that much about being number one. I don't like it that much.
Like you had to do that part of your life to know that you didn't want to,
exactly.
Right? Andy?
Yes, exactly. It's like I heard an interview I think it was on Howard Stern, but like Steve Van Zandt talked about, like, he had his own bands and he's like, I didn't like it. I'd rather be Bruce's second than be my own, than be the lead on something. And I relate to that. I mean, it's nice to be in charge. It's nice to be listened to, but there's also a lot of shit that's like just no fun, not necessary.
Right.
And I also don't, I don't care that much about the attention, you know, and using attention as just sort of like a catch-all word for, you know, being famous, being known, being whatever. You know, I like my life. Definitely. I like that people know who I am. I like that I have a reputation and I can work and I can do this, but I don't, you know, like it's not, it doesn't, that part of it doesn't matter to me. Like if something happened, like if I could figure out a way where I'd kind of, as they say, moved behind the camera and still made a good living, I think I'd be fine with that.
You know, and it's you're kind of doing that with this radio show, because now you don't need
a little bit. Yeah.
You know, you could still do your thing, be you, but also you don't have to like fucking doll it up and wear fucking makeup and
shake hands.
That sounds so annoying, dude. And like, was that piece that much? I think
every
about that, like the daily, and also like the daily. You have to be funny and consistent every day. It's got to be draining, that whole writing for a daily talk show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you get used to it, and the labor is spread out among enough people. You know, there's enough, you know, it's not like it's. I mean, in this sort of podcast world. Actually, it was my friend Andy Daly, I think, is here recording something.
Sick.
Really funny guy.
Yeah.
And he and I were going to do a podcast together that we realized was going to be a lot of joke writing. Like it you know, it's just like an hour podcast, but it wasn't just conversational. Like the format of it would have involved us writing a lot of material for each show. And we did it a few times and we were like, oh, fuck, this is too much. Like,
I get it.
Too much. And it was like for every podcast, I don't know what it was for him, but for me, it was like 4 or 5 hours of joke writing. Jesus and at a certain point, I'm just going to run out, you know?
Right.
It's why people have writing staffs.
Right.
It's just because it's too much, it's too taxing. And it's easier for everybody to keep the ball in the air rather than just one person to constantly do it or two people to constantly do it. So yeah, it was, I've used the phrase, the Conan show. It was like laying tracks for a train that you can hear coming. Like there's no, you just got to get it down and get it out. And which in some ways is great. Like it removes preciousness from the actual production thing. And there's a lot of just get it out the door, just get it to where you can be air quotes proud of it.
Right.
And get it out the door.
But in a way, you self-sabotage your own ADD-ness, because if you're already making the track, you're like, fuck, I'm bored. You know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, it was, you know, like I say, every day was kind of different, but, you know, it's like, I don't, you know, it's like, every day was different, but it was also kind of the same. You know, the actual container that everything went into was kind of the same. And there was the same kind of, you know, like the celebrity interview part of it, like at the time, was like really boring to me.
Totally.
You know, but then, you know, what the difference is I came out here, and as you kind of referenced before, I came out here, I did 3 shows of my own. Conan came back to me and said, hey, would you like to come back to work? And I was like, come back and make TV every night? Like, and have like an idea in the morning and see it on TV that night? Fuck yes, I want to do that. You know, absolutely. And I was able to enjoy that. and do that for 11 years then, especially. And also too, I had kids, and it was like, I'm going to have a steady job. It's like, it's not the gigantic money that I would be if I was on a network show, but that's a riskier endeavor. But I have a set job. I make a nice living, and I'm close to home, and I'm home by 7 o'clock at the latest.
Right.
That's amazing.
And when you have, I was home for my kids for most of their grade school and high school years. And there's a lot of people doing what I do who don't enjoy that.
Yeah. So so you basically needed those 9 years to appreciate what you had in the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah.
A little bit. I would say so. Yeah, definitely. And it was, and it would have been great if like one of my shows really took off, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of the work that I did on those shows, and I still get a lot of good feedback, and people tell me how much they enjoyed them. But I know that like the most impactful thing that I've done is to work with Conan, and that's the thing that young people in comedy who are like a version of me back in 1990. Those people look to me and Conan and to our show the way I look to kind of my quote unquote comedy heroes.
Oh yeah. I mean, you guys are our comedy heroes.
Yeah. I mean,
so you are, you built this show.
I was so excited when they
when we got you, we were edging for about 2 weeks, buddy.
I have a question about the writing team thing with Conan. Like, before he was on that show, he's like one of the greatest comedy writers of his generation, probably. He wrote for The Simpsons. He wrote for Saturday Night Live. Did having a guy like that at the helm of another team of writers make it easier, or did it sometimes make it harder because he would have like an extra idea? Was it harder to finish things, or was it like a huge asset?
Huge asset.
Yeah.
I mean, the more funny brains you got, the better it is. And it's an asset too, but it makes life more difficult. I mean, Stephen Colbert tells a story about being on our set during rehearsal and for something, whether he was going to do, I think he was a guest and he was doing a pre-tape. And this is before, I think maybe when he was still doing the, like the Daily Show and kind of the, that Colbert
the character was coming out.
Yeah. But it was like he hadn't been the head of a talk show yet, I don't think. And he saw the writers came in with something, and Conan read the stuff and was like, well, if it isn't the Good Enough Gang.
Because he's very good at like kind of talking down to people with a joke. Yeah.
Oh, he's a fucking sharpshooter. No. I mean, and he's a brilliantly funny guy, and he's not. And he has, and there's high standards. Our stuff is really silly and absurd, but there's high standards. And I have that too. And I was with him on it. I mean, and I kind of ended up, it was in a lot of ways with the head writer. It was like whoever the head writer was, which most of the time was Mike Sweeney, Conan, and me were sort of the like deciding what went out the door, basically. Mm-hmm. And I could be pretty fucking brutal. And I knew there were writers that didn't like me because they would write something. The head writer would say, yeah, they'll cast it, they'll prop it, they'll costume it, they'll go out and shoot it, and they bring it back. And we're sitting in the monologue meeting, and it is supposed to go into act one. We're going out there in 20 minutes and we'll screen it. And there's plenty of times where I'd just be like, no, I don't think so. Like, it's just not. And I wouldn't say it then unless really pressed, but it's like, it's not funny enough. Right. It's not like it's just okay. And and there's some just okay that when you don't have a choice, there's a lot of times where it's like, we got to put something on, and we're not crazy about this, but well, fuck it. Let's just do it.
Right.
But we had high standards. So yeah, it's like he has very high standards because he is one of the biggest, best comedy minds in the world.
Right.
So he has really high standards, which is great, but it's also, when you're just trying to fill slots on the grid of comedy that we need to fill. It can be really daunting. It can be really tough.
You ever
in the morning?
You ever want to beat the shit out of him?
Of Conan?
You ever fought?
Not for a long time, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not like a fighter.
Yeah. Just last week.
Seeing Andy Richter take off his shirt. Come outside, Conan.
They got in a full fight.
Come outside, bro.
Conan's got a black eye in his podcast this week.
I mean, I can be a yeller, you know, but I'm not gonna. But I mean, but even then, I don't do. That's, you know, you got to say that you have to make your yelling and your tantrum throwing mean something,
right?
If you waste it on inconsequential things, then people are going to stop paying attention.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's Andy Frasco, your local drunk. We're here to support Gardenista. Gardenista, our sponsors. So I've been substituting this from Jameson because I like the idea that there's ginger, lime juice, and green herbs in this. So I kind of feel healthy drinking this. I mean, they got all these different ones. Like, I was kind of nervous about this bourbon cocktail, but it's bourbon whiskey, green herbs, lime juice, ginger, and jalapenos. Got a little spice to it, but you put some ice in it, and it's actually a cocktail. And, like, I'm not really good at proportions, so it's already made for you. Look at this. It's cute, too. You could be on your table. Be like, oh, looky, you're sophisticated. Do you want pop-off on your kitchen table, or do you want something that's pretty? Gardenista. Vodka cocktail. Grab it. Tell them Frasco sent you.
You know, speaking of paying attention, I'd like to ask a question about some facts on how to be a great co-host for my boy Nick here. How can we make Nick a great co-host?
Well, you have to be really, really fucking funny.
Damn it. Okay, is there anything else I can do?
That's like 90% of it. No, I mean, it's all just common sense kind of stuff. It's you got to really listen. You know, you got to focus and listen, and be ready to kind of pick your moment. But one of the things that I learned the most is to also know when the moment's passed. Like, I could have something really good loaded up, and I'm waiting just, because you're kind of waiting for a break in the conversation,
right, exactly.
You can sort of slip it in. And sometimes it would pass and it'd be like, fuck. I wouldn't want to be like, hey, you know the thing you guys were talking about like a minute ago?
Yeah.
Here's a zinger.
Yeah. So it's all about the timing.
Also, it's all about the timing. And it also too is like, you got to put your own ego really far in the background. It's like, I never had any delusions that the show was called anything other than Conan or Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
Or the Andy Frasco show.
We might have to get you on. I'm going to put you on a Zoom with my band, actually, too, Andy Richter.
Yeah. I think you need to be talking to your band.
I think you need to talk to my guitar player.
I think you need to talk to your band more than me, honestly. Well, do you have any tips for working for a guy, and I'm not being specific here, where it's kind of all about them every day, and you have to work for them for years and years? And this, I'm not being specific about anyone, but just like every day, it's all about them, and they're a lot, and they have all these ideas, and they're kind of very demanding. Do you have any tips? And I'm not being specific about any person, but do you have any tips for that?
Right. Tums.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is the best. I know you're so busy, Andy. I got two more questions.
I'm not that busy.
All right. Fuck, marry, kill. Oprah, Jay Leno, or Conan O'Brien.
Well, that's easy. I mean, the way you listed it. Well, no, it would be, I would fuck Oprah.
Hell yeah.
I would marry Conan O'Brien, and I would kill Jay Leno.
Let's fucking go.
There you go.
And I don't really,
that was a softball.
That was a lob ball.
Beef so much with Jay Leno, but I mean, of those got people, I don't want to fuck Jay Leno.
I don't either.
And I plan on Conan's and my marriage being a sexless marriage.
Yeah,
but,
that's the third marriage.
Yeah. I see Jay Leno at the car. I grew up in Calabasas, so I see Jay Leno at the car show all the time. I always want to say, fuck you for ruining Conan's life every time.
He turned out okay.
It turned out right, but
Yeah.
that's funny. So you're excited about this Colin show? Are you excited about it? Like, how are you going to approach this? How's like in the beginning when it's a new show? How are you going to get enough callers? Like how are you approaching the game plan for the first couple months?
Well, I'm hoping that the people whose job it is to do all that, I just plan on showing up and being funny.
It's my boy. That's my fucking
it's like,
guy.
It's like they're the people that are, although it is, nowadays, like if you want to sell a book, you forget your idea, forget your talent. How many social media followers do you have?
Exactly.
Because you got to advertise everything yourself,
Right.
So that does kind of, when we're looking for callers, because we pre-tape these and we'll continue to pre-tape them with some, once we're up and running, we definitely do want to do some live ones.
Yeah.
I want to do some live ones because it's kind of like fulfillment of being a radio show host fantasy.
Exactly.
I'm going into like a studio and there's fucking faders next to me that I'm not supposed to touch, but
Don't touch that button.
they're there,
Yeah.
feels like, it feels like a real big time grown up radio show. And I would love for it to be live and people to just be out in the world calling. Cause I don't listen to, like, I listen to Spotify, I listen to Apple Music, but mostly I listen to Sirius XM, and I have for many, many years prior to even working with them, having anything to do with them. One main reason, because Howard Stern, but also too, I like the way that the music is kind of in these silos, by genre. And that, it's like, if I want to listen to old country music, I want to listen to old country music. But I also like that there's human beings programming it.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to just my phone picking out songs at random from a playlist that I made. There is some kind of human contact.
Yeah.
So the notion of being on there and doing a live show is even more like, it's very old fashioned in a way, but it feels also like, oh yeah, no, this is real. It's not just kind of this self-contained little bubble of feedback loop.
All right. So my next question for Fuck, Marry, Kill is Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno, or the guy who created AI?
I gotta fuck Jay Leno then, I guess.
Damn. Again?
All right. Yeah.
Here he is.
He has beautiful eyes.
He does.
He does?
Honest to God. He has like the color of his eyes. It's like almost like a blue violet kind of color and beautiful gray hair.
Yeah.
Like both of those things about him are like off-putting when you're looking at him and talking to him. It's like, you look into his eyes and you're like, holy shit, that's the most beautiful eye color I've ever seen in my life.
You're like, damn, no wonder why he got his job back.
Zoom in on his eyes. Don't pan down to the chin.
Yeah, don't pan down. Andy, thanks for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of you. We all are. I mean, you're Nick's heroes. He's very shy to say it, but you are his hero.
Thank you.
Well, you're one of them. I'm just kidding.
That's all right. No, I don't need that burden.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the luck on this show. I know it's going to be huge because you are a talent, and I'm so excited to start listening to it. My last question for you before you go is, you've done so many things. What do you want to be remembered by?
Oh, I mean, honestly, it's the boring. I mean, this isn't this is an answer that somebody might say in a bullshit way, but I really do mean it. Like just for being a dad, being a good dad and a good husband, and everything else beyond that is so. Like I have some control over those ones, like I can really have a lot of control over what my kids think about me and how good a job I did raising them and being their dad. And same goes for my wife. But like, in terms of the work that I've done on television or in movies or on the radio or on podcasts, that stuff is out in the world, and the opinion of it, I don't have any control over.
Right.
It's out there, and people either like it or they don't, or, you know, I mean, it's nice to be respected. It's nice to have people like what you do. But I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but I can go from 1 minute feeling like I've really done a lot, and I've contributed a lot to comedy and to television. And then 5 minutes later, I can feel like, what the fuck have I ever done?
Exactly.
Same.
I've been on TV cracking wise. So what? It's all fucking disposable. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It all just depends, you know, on what your mood is. And I have enough people telling me they appreciate what I've done, and that's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, just as long as the kids still love me.
Yeah. Well, we'll tell
My
you.
kid.
We'll tell you you're a great dad. You'll be our dad
All right,
too.
thanks.
Yeah, you're
You seem
great.
like a good dad.
You're a great
Thank
dad,
you.
Andy.
From the Midwest.
Yeah, you're a Midwest guy. You
Yeah,
gotta be a
yeah,
good guy,
Right.
All
Yeah.
us Midwest guys are good.
You ever have to yell at your kids, like punch them or anything?
No, you know what? With my son, the first one, because I grew up getting spanked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought I still had this kind of, and I'm certainly not a conservative. I'm like practically, you know, like I'd go fucking, if we could have Denmark, the way they run Denmark, if we could have that here, give it to me. Socialism sounds good.
They're very
You
happy
know.
I
there.
like it too, dude. I
Yeah.
kind of like it.
It's like the
Yeah.
happiest
the
country on earth.
Dutch, all my Dutch friends are really just like proper
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
They look
Yeah,
so
yeah.
happy.
And they like, you know, the government tells kids, you know, like use condoms, and, you know,
Yeah.
and if you fucking get cancer, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Get some
it
college.
just, I would love to have that. But when I had a little kid, I was like, no, I got spanked. And, you know, kids are like little animals. Sometimes, you know, like a mother dog will nip its puppies to sort of keep them in line.
Mm.
And I spanked my son, and I don't mean like, you know, wailed on him. I mean like a swat on the butt or
Yeah.
two. And I did it a couple of 3 times maybe. And it felt so awful. And it was so evident to me that this is not teaching him anything
Right.
other than being afraid of me.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not learning boundaries. He's just learning like, holy shit, the person that takes care of me just fucking hit me.
Right.
And it was all about me being impatient and wanting whatever the situation was to end. Like
Right.
I'd had enough. I want to put a button on this, and here's the button, slap, slap.
Yeah.
And like I say, I did it a few times, and it felt so bad and so stupid and so counterproductive that I never did it again. Now, I do believe in corporal punishment on eardrums.
Yes.
I have given my kids eardrums a
Yeah.
beating now and
Yeah.
then.
You gotta have some.
Got something. You got to do something.
Yeah, yeah. Because it does, it doesn't feel great to be yelled at, but sometimes you need to have something that doesn't feel great
Yeah, exactly.
to happen.
Yeah,
You know?
We are animals on some level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and my son, both of my kids, in my estimation, they are the slightest criticism that sends them spiraling into like this giant flamboyant indignation scene. And I had just an instance with my son a little while ago, because he lost something, and I was like, you got to be a little more careful. And he got real indignant and real defensive. And I was like, what just happened is so mild. I said, you got to focus more. You got to pay attention. I said, I was yelled at every fucking day of my life. Like, this is nothing. You
Right.
think that was an insult, or that was, you know, I was like, that is nothing. You should only be yelled at as much as I was yelled at.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I agree.
I agree. Because I don't think my parents didn't yell at me that much. And I feel that's why I'm so passive aggressive.
Sounds like his kid could be in your band too, though.
He could.
Well, he's very talented.
Yeah.
Is he a musician?
He does play music. He and his friends, they do a lot of DJing,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I don't understand
That's
at
the
all.
new being in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does, and they do. I mean, they'll do shit like they'll go in. I guess there's places here where you can just basically rent a DJ setup, and I'm sure that they get absolutely fucking baked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 or 5 of them go in, and for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, they just, I don't know, do beats or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know.
Whatever. They're not on the
But
street.
he's a visual artist. He graduated from USC with an art degree.
Oh, wow.
And he's a wonderful painter.
I love
beautiful painter.
Well, I'm happy you're creating such a great life for you, and we're rooting you on, buddy. So keep
Thanks,
doing
guys.
the great
We're going to
work.
call in every show.
Yeah, we're gonna call on every show. We'll make sure you have callers. Well, we will be the ones calling you, Andy.
Do it. We're recording tomorrow.
All right, I'll get the number. I'll get the number from your
Here
publicist.
comes the general
topic is
public.
bad teachers,
Oh,
which
man.
I already have gotten pushback on social media from teachers going like, don't you think that maybe we're not the target that you should be picking right now? And I'm
No, I had sex with my high school teacher.
did you really?
Yeah, I had sex with my high school teacher. I was a senior.
I would say that's bad.
That's a bad teacher, right?
yeah, the
I would say
bad.
that is a bad teacher.
Okay, I'll call in. I'll
That's
call
like
in.
one of the first rules is don't fuck the kid.
It's a main rule.
Yeah.
It's true. All right, I'll call in tomorrow.
All right. All right.
All right, Andy.
Honestly, do it.
All right, I'll tell the I'll ask the publicist who's your serious publicist.
Yeah, do.
All right,
Okay.
buddy. Have a great day.
All right.
Good luck with
I'll talk to you
everything.
guys later.
Keep
Later.
killing it, buddy. Later. Later, bud.
He rules.
I love it.
All right. Where do you want me to send this?
Yeah, send it to